Hello and welcome back to the AFL High Performance Podcast. My name is Jack McLean. I'm your host, and today I'm lucky enough to have Darrell O'Neil as our guest. He's a physical performance coach at the GWS Giants, as well as looking after the VFL strength conditioning program. Welcome, Darrell. Thanks for jumping on, mate.
Thanks for having me.
For those that aren't aware of your background, Darrell, no doubt the S&Cs are, and the footballers over in Greater Western Sydney are, but for the rest of the guys, do you mind providing a bit of background, I guess, where it all started for you, mate, your passion for high performance and the different experiences you've had over your journey?
Yeah, obviously not Australian, so with the accent here, I'm from Ireland, so like the north of Ireland there. So we just started off, just did my undergrad degree, University of Ulster. And I would have played a lot of sport back home. Like, so my main sports were Gaelic football, which is a similar sport to AFL, and then soccer as well. In the off season, we played a bit of soccer. So really just love playing sport. AFL, sorry, the Gaelic football level would have been like the VFL level here. You know, you would have had the top level of J county players, and then they would drop back to play club level, and the club level my team was in was pretty good, and a good county in Ireland, like, so it was good level standard. Probably really gave me a passion for like the training side and the coaching side of sport. And so obviously did my undergrad degree and then went on to the masters in marketing. So I went off a bit from sports science and exercise and went to the marketing degree. It was probably, I think, the focus was just to open up my own gym at home, which I had done now, because now there's about 10 gyms in the town, so could have got in before the thing kicked off. But then from that, I got a job in university as well, working in the sports side. So just working with sort of a few athletes in there and general pop in there, and kind of came to the decision that I wanted to go out to see the world, get a bit of sun somewhere else, and travel. So I did 8 months in Asia, backpacked around Asia, and then came into, first stop was in Darwin in Australia. So I ended up, because you have to get a second year visa, you have to do farm work. As a backpacker, so I did my farm work in a uranium mine up there, nuclear power mine, for like, 8 months. And
Wow.
yeah, it was fun, good fun, some interesting characters.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I actually met my now fiance up there. She was the gym instructor in the gym, from England, which is a small world. So met her and then just came down the East Coast and couldn't decide where to stop. So stopped in Sydney to play Gaelic football in Sydney for a team here. And then really just worked on the building sites for a year or two here, and just started to build up my coaching as well. Like, so I'd work in the building site during the day, and then I'd go and work with like that Shoot Shield rugby team in Sydney here, AEST rugby. Mm-hmm. So I was kind of working on with them. And then just from there, just progressed into the school system. So Cranbrook School is a private school in Sydney. And then I started to sort of snowball from there. And from there, I got into the Sydney Swans Academy, did 4 years there. Did a bit of representative stuff, S&C work with the Rams here, AFL, ACT Rams. It's a state competition for the guys that are coming on to play and do combines and go to the next steps. And then I sort of stepped out of that just before COVID came off, and just started my masters in high performance sport, UTS. And then during that, the Giants came in and offered me a job there. It's funny, the same day they offered me a job, I had a job offered to me in India with the soccer team over there. So I had to sort of weigh up both.
Contrast. Yeah.
Yeah. So decided to take the Sydney option, and then so I've been there now 3 years, and just really progressed from coming in originally, like, you know, you just charge of the cross training and the VFL, and then you sort of progress. And now I'm sort of in charge of the rehab S&C alongside Matt Cameron, the head physio for GWS rehab, and also still managing the VFL program. Yeah, so that's pretty short version of what's happened. So it's probably not your traditional route to pro sport, but it was a bit all over the place. But yeah, it's been good.
Yeah, it's fantastic, mate. Yeah, it sounds like for those listening in, there's many roads to Rome, certainly in our industry, and I can imagine work ethic would be a key value of yours to be able to, see that 8 months out with farming. You hear about how challenging those days can be. Do you feel like that? Pro sport's probably fairly different, you would imagine, from an environment point of view. But do you feel like experiencing those life experiences sort of help shape you as an S&C coach in pro sport?
Yeah, definitely. You just get a better perspective of working outside of sport. So like, when you're working on building sites, you've got no skill. I have no skills at all. I didn't know what any of the tools were called. So I just had you start at the bottom. You just try to work your way in the game, gain respect, and just building relationships with guys that have been in that industry for years. And they obviously know you don't know much about anything. So you just trying to help out wherever you can. If you see a job, you help them out. To make sure they have more free time to work, use their skills to get the job done. So you just do anything just to help them, and you just gain respect from that. And I think that's goes across all industries. You see interns now. You got the head S&C coach, and you're going in as an intern. You just do a scan of the environment and see like where can I help here, add value, and it's just sometimes it's small things that are like appreciated the most. So if you were to tighten up the gym or putting sand in the holes in the field, like jobs that you think, you're like, oh, I went to did degrees, masters, but them little things, they do add up, and people see that, and it does get you does help along the way, I feel like.
Yeah, 100%. And well said, mate. I think it's an important message to share for sure for next developing coaches. And reflecting over your career, mate, who have been some of your strongest influences or mentors, if you like, that help shape your philosophy?
Yeah, probably everyone I came across have taken something away from. I've been in a lot of different places now, so I've been lucky to do internships in rugby league and rugby sevens and all that. So everyone in there, like everyone does a different program. Everyone's got their own way of doing things. So they're all been successful doing different ways. So there's obviously more ways to do it than just the one way. But probably a big one would be Paul Hallam at Cranbrook. He's a track and field coach. Coached Olympics sprint team in the relay of one of the Olympic Games. I can't remember which one it was. So yeah, really good, like unbelievable speed coach, running coach, very knowledgeable. Used to sit there and just watch him and Dan Paff have emails bouncing back, and it's just like you're just like, geez, these guys are just different level. And just a really good guy. Still chat them very often and go and visit them over at Cranbrook. And the stuff they've done there is just amazing. And then probably Nathan Farnham as well. Like when I was in at the sevens, he gave me a chance to come in there and kind of open my eyes to the professional settings. And again, another great guy, and he's a good operator. Like he's working in the school system now, and again, just really good operator. And then Simon Harry's there the last year, going into transition into that rehab role. Just did a mentorship. He set up a mentorship program, and that's just been unbelievable. Like just having him, you can text him and you have weekly calls and catch ups, and he's just got a wealth of knowledge across a lot of sports and has seen everything. Probably forgetting a few people, but anyway, just the guys at the at the Swans as well. Steve Kelly, there's one stage there was like so many Irish boys in there. It was like the Irish mafia. Like you had like everyone in that academy was like Irish S&C coaches. So I don't know what the kids felt there like were thinking, but there's all different accents of Irish descent, and his yeah, he's a great guy. Give me a chance there, and he's obviously working with the ladies team there, and then just the Giants boys. I mean, like Nick Poulos and Brad Newton, Dan Zagnich, Adriano, Andy Murphy, Rondinelli, Quinney. I think they're all very experienced, good operators, you know. So probably worked with Andy Murphy the most and Adriano. So like been through a lot with them boys. It's been a good ride. So them boys are just top level, like sports scientists, S&Cs, like so. You just learn every day off them, like so. It's been great. Like.
Yeah, it's a wealth of experiences and experienced coaches, like you said, at the top of the level. What about highlights, mate, that spring front of mind that you're so proud of to experience over your career?
Um, Probably like just at Cranbrook there, I went in and just a school that wasn't really recognised as a sporting school. There wasn't much buy-in. You taking the rugby team, weren't expected to do much, but really keen. Like you could just feel there was things happening there, and then Paul Hallam came in, and it just really kicked off from there. He used to go down and do speed agility sessions. There was 2 kids would turn up, and then like now there's like 200, 300 kids turned up on a Friday morning for it. Like, and it's just yeah, they just really built it up from like scratch, and now they've got like state of the art gym. They just design a new gym, new sports facility, and it's just whenever you get, if you're ever in Sydney, you just pop down and see it. It's amazing. Like so that was great there. And then just this, as I said, the Swans, just in with Steve Kelly and them Irish guys. It's just it's good fun. Like each of them had their own skill set, like different skill set, and it was just a good learning experience. And then probably just the relationships, like cheesy as it is, but just building relationships with people all along the way at all levels. Like that's been the highlights for me. Like.
Yeah, fantastic. And on the flip side, mate, obviously in pro sport comes pressure. What have been some of your biggest challenges that you faced, and how did you sort of grow, or what did you learn from those challenges?
I suppose again, anytime like as you're coming up through, like you're making a few mistakes here and there, and like then it can get pretty dark at times. Like things are happening behind, and you get this feeling sometimes that there's something happening, something's coming. Like so I suppose not that time. Like you just gotta lean on the people that's closest to you. Like in the workplace, at home. And try your best not to take it back out of the workplace into home, like, because it's never a good thing to do, which I'm trying to still improve at. But yeah, you just sort of try to build little processes there just to handle that, and it will happen in pro sport, it's a pressure pot, like as you've probably seen, like, and it can turn quickly, and you just got to have like sort of some kind of method or some kind of process where you can sort of step away. And like sometimes I'll be driving to work or home from work and I see building sites, and it's like, I spent a couple of years in there, the building sites there, like, so if I had the choice, I'd rather be in this situation there with the pressure than sort of digging holes around Sydney, so
it's a good way to frame it.
Yeah,
fantastic. Well, a few questions for some tips, I guess, for the next generation of coaches. Those that might be studying at the moment, or perhaps finishing their degree and looking to cut their teeth and get some experience in pro sport, and hopefully land their first full-time contract in the future. I guess you've talked about your background, but reflecting back on it, how many years of semi-pro or community sport did you spend before that first full-time contract?
Well, I would have done like going back. I would have done 2 years, 3 years in Ireland, before I left, and then there was obviously a 2 year gap of doing not much in sport. And then from there, it's 6 years working within academies, school sport, and then come in the Giants there 2021. So some people get in quicker, other people takes a bit longer. So it's just there's a bit of luck involved in that as well. But I suppose for young people, it's just like you just never know who's watching either. If you're coaching anywhere, like you should take it, like every session you're in there, you should take it very serious and try to show your best at each one, because someone could just be watching and just remember you, have a chat, come over, chat to and that could just lead to anything. So definitely recommend getting into the school systems. It's Jesus, there's some great coaches in there and great networking opportunities, and all them coaches in there have got loads of networks. So if you get in there and get a mentor in there, build up a few relationships in there, you can get into pro sport if that's what you really want.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great advice, and I think, yeah, like you said, there should be no rush, because it's not just landing that first full-time contract. You'd hope that there's many more to come after that. That you can make an impact straight away. I guess for those over those 8 years, was there particular experiences that really helped you in that first? Was your first contract the VFL and assistant S&C, or was it first contract the rehab and the VFL HPM role?
No, VFL was the first one. So
Yep.
doing that, and then last year just did the rehab then, just coming in last year. So yeah. So you just got to be patient, and just meet. Like, if you can get a few internships through university or externally once you've finished university, it just gives you sort of a foot in the door as well. Like, there's no guarantee you get a job from the internship, but might further down the line, a few dominoes down the line, that could lead to a conversation and someone just put your name forward. So definitely recommend it. And just even if you're working in a school, like, it's a great role. Like, pro sport's not for everyone, and it's not all glamorous, as you probably know. So, like, working in a school system, getting a full-time job in the school system is brilliant. Like, so not everyone goes to pro level. So, like, yeah, I could just, whatever you can make an impact. So, like, pro level or school sport, like,
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I think, couldn't agree more, mate. I think sometimes the high school roles, you actually develop yourself as a coach even more, because you're working with such a higher range of those that some are competent, some never been in the gym before. So you really have to coach a lot more, where dealing with your top level athletes that have been exposed in pro programs for most of their life. They've generally got a lot of the fun. There's still work to be done, but there's a lot of the fundamentals are sort of ingrained. What about academic side? Like, obviously the bachelor's is sort of bare minimum to get these full-time contracts. Did you have your master's before that first time contract? What's your sort of stance on getting your master's?
Definitely helped. Like, I'd done my degree in sport, and I did a master's in marketing. And then going back into doing all the masters was daunting, because after that one I said I'd never do it again. But I just felt I wanted to go back in and just develop, like, just interested in learning more and have a structured program. So the one at UHS was brilliant for that. Met a couple of really good people along the course with me. And I think, like, you should, like, I know people go and do degrees, masters and PhDs, but I would always recommend having a gap between it. So like, personally, like, I think if you had a few years coaching on your belt and then did a masters, it's probably going to help you more, because you got a bit of experience to do. I remember that sort of relates to that. But if you're just going straight degree into masters, sometimes you're just shooting over and you're just ticking boxes. But, like, go out and see the world, and I'd recommend those, just have a bit of life experience and then go do your masters, a bit of coaching at the same time. So when I went into the Giants, I was sort of doing my masters halfway through it, just doing it part-time. So finished off the masters when I was at the Giants.
Yeah, it makes sense. Then you can apply what you're learning as well, can't you?
Yeah. Like, there's many different ways to do it, but that's just how I did it. I think I was pretty good.
Yeah, and you mentioned Simon Harris from that mentorship program that's been valuable while you're doing your reconditioning role at the moment. What about while you were sort of developing early days, either in Ireland or here in Australia? Was there any formal mentorships, or was it more informal learning with peers from internship programs and those that you worked with that help you along that journey?
Yeah, no real formal ones. So Simon's was the first one. So they were just more like applying for internships. So, like, went to this rugby sevens, the ladies team there with Nathan Farnham, Tom Carter, and that was great. Like, just seeing that, like, Nathan, really good, like, structured internship, like, really put a lot of work into that so that you got the most out of it. And that was brilliant. And then just at the Manly Seagulls with Connor Daly and Cam Ferguson, Donny Singe in there, just just give you an insight into like elite level, different level sport again, like, but just seeing how everything works. Like, so that was kind of, that was only the mentorships I had, like, and then just working. But after doing Simon's thing, I definitely recommend anyone to do like a paid mentorship. Like, it's kind of like the masters is like very broad sometimes, but if you do that then the mentorships, it's like can really narrow in on like what you really need like to get out of your career. So it's probably a next step after the masters. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And then with what you know now, mate, last one on this topic, is there anything you would have done differently, in terms of experience to help prepare you for that first full-time role?
Um, I think when you go in a new environment, new culture, you're always gonna have that little bit of settling down period, a bit of a shock, like So again, just going back to like just work, like in scan environment where you work, where can you help people when you get in there, like understand what you're there to do and do that as best you can, and then also help other people anywhere, like so. Like just being a good team player, that's probably the main thing, and then just um probably having a second income would be great. Like if I had to set up something on the side hustle, like yourself there, like would have been great to have it. Like, and then just a better finance system. You go through your career, you could read stuff and take notes and all. Like mine's just all over the place. I wish I had like at the start just set like really good structures so like you could just flick back and find things. But now I'm just like I don't know where half the stuff is. Like so.
Yeah,
I wish I had a better.
I'm the same, man.
Yeah, better finance system. Yeah.
Yeah. I've only really just started. It's by no means perfect, but I agree. If I could have done that since day one, it'd be great just to be able to have everything ready at the desktop. Certain files, strength, power stuff, conditioning. Rehab and have it all there to reflect on. So that's a great little tip for anyone listening in. If you can start filing everything now, that you never know when you might need it in the future, and how valuable it can be. Well, thanks, mate. Thanks for sharing that, and no doubt you've helped inspire some future S&C coaches, but also upskill with some tips and tricks on how to prepare and in a life of pro sport. I guess going over to the key topic, mate, that you chose in terms of the difference between developing athletes and more your mature-based athletes. What's the main difference from a strength training point of view between beginner and advanced AFL athletes that you work with?
Yeah, I suppose like I've spent a lot of time in that academy space and developing athletes. So you see them coming into this AFL environment, and it must be like I reckon it's only pro sport arena in the world that has that. Like where they do the combine, they get signed up, and the next week they could be moving from Perth to Sydney. Like, they don't know where they're even going. Sometimes they don't know where they're going. They don't know if they're going to be drafted. So the next week they're in a pro setting with some of the superstars of AFL, and it's just like I just can't imagine how that, like, their head must be spinning.
Yeah.
You got these meetings, like you got so much things to do, like the cognitive overload must be all over the place as an 18-year-old, So I think you gotta, that's a big thing to take in the consideration when you're throwing these kids into that environment. Like it's a massive shock to the system. Like some of them might not have cooked before, or I mean, like so you got to be a bit patient with them. Like I think that's the key with the first and second years even. Just
Yep.
patience, like slow cook them. You don't want to come in and just throw them in the program and just let them go and see what happens. Like because they're going to make mistakes along the way, so they kind of need a guided hand at all times throughout the program. And like even someone come in, they haven't done any gym work before, like or very very little. So if I was in go back to Cranbrook, there we would we'd have the year sevens in come in. You teach them the fundamentals of squat, hinge, and push up, say, or chin up, and then straight away you're teaching them how to snatch, like Olympic lifting, like throw them right in the deep end. Like they just got great mobility, so no injuries before, so they can just no fear as well. Like, and you can just teach them like almost the hardest stuff first, and then just sort of keep them away from the bench press as long as possible, or the back squat. Like, because once they go there, you can't get them back. But yeah, just like slow cook them, like long-term development. Like, and sometimes that's the problem. You come into the Giants or anywhere, like, and you haven't had that. And it's just
Yeah.
kind of, there's a balance of like kind of fast track them, like adding a bit of weight to them, like a bit of strength so they're not getting injured against men. But there's also like, you got to pull back as well and just go like, this is a 2-year project, and just build from there. Like, so like, like even with the elite AFL athletes, you wouldn't say they're outstanding in the gym. Like if you, like there's probably some weekend warriors there would probably lift them more and lift them better than them. So like, in terms of elite, it'd be more like they've been in the system for 5 years and they can handle the running loads, the recovery, and the strength, like the gym stuff. They can handle all that volume, while the young lads probably just, they're not going to be able to do it, so you just got to respect that. So just start them slow, really basic movements in line with the main group are doing, and just like regress it way back. Just a bit more volume, just a bit more tempo work, just really trying to nail down their technique. And then within 2 years, then you can start building them off, so
Yeah.
Slow burn them, I'd say.
Yeah. And when working with the young boys coming through, is there a big range on competency from those that have been in maybe a development academy, let's say? Like, obviously you hear that the City Swans and GWS academies are quite strong, and there's a process there compared to maybe someone who is a bit more raw and maybe raw. They haven't been in an academy program or a NAB league program. What can the gap be? How significant can it be? And then how do you go about sort of bridging that gap? But like you said, they might you might need to prepare them to play against men. They might debut that year because they're a talented footballer, but physically they're a mile behind. How do you sort of go about bridging that gap to prepare them to play?
Yeah, you can have a huge definitely huge. Something you can see the kids. Some kids have when they've had a few years experience, and then you get the other ones have nothing. They have no idea. So going to the academy system does help there. But like each player is in that setting is there because there's someone has seen something in them. There's something special about them. So understanding what sets them apart is important as well. Like, so if they're a great runner and they're running, it's unbelievable. Like, so you got to take that into a factor, like, and keep that as their main thing, but also develop them in other ways. So I still think it's fundamental. Like, you just start them off generally all the first year, even though some might be advanced, some are not. You just regress it back to the start. Like, so like from a back squat, you start with the goblet squat, say. You just sort of teach them that, like, because again, even the best movers in the gym, you got to take into account the external stuff that's going on as well, like new setting, massive increases in training volume. So that all sort of levels the field a little bit that way. So I would just start the first years off, and the younger lads just even the VFL lads coming in, like, they come in from all over the place, come up for the year as well. So big shock for them. So just start them off, really basic program, just build it from there, like slow burn them and say, like, you got like generally come in 3 weeks before Christmas, then you got that Christmas break. So you wouldn't really change much in that period. And then they come back in again January, February, March into the season, the game's starting. Like. So how fast you progress them is just basically up to how they're looking in the gym, how they're coping with everything on top of that. So some you can just push it on a little bit more, and others you just holding them back for longer.
Yep. And what about common mistakes that you've seen from coaches when working with developing athletes from a strength program point of view?
I don't know if I want to throw anyone under the bus, like, but
no names, of course.
No. I don't know if it's mistakes or anything. Like most coaches have worked with young athletes, like a very range of athletes, so they can handle it. probably I would say sometimes they just go under the radar a little bit the first year, second years, like some of them aren't playing AFL for maybe a year or two. So in that regard, they might just go, it's good to have someone just probably just looking after them along with the VFL players, So yeah, and they're pretty like they kind of gravitate towards like watching like what they're say if they really admire one of the players in the gym or the play like one of the best players of the Giants, like they would say, "Oh, I want to be like him." And you can see them sort of gravitating towards that, and sort of trying to copy what that person's doing. But it's probably just a bit more of an education thing, saying like they're just on a different, like they've been doing AFL for like 6-7 years. You're just on a different path. Like you're not there yet. Like you just gotta be patient. So yeah, it's just probably just more of like more communication with them on a regular basis. I think that's a big one. Like just always checking in with them because they can go onto the radar very easily.
Yep. And what about modifications to volume or intensity? You mentioned that, respecting the running loads for both the semi-professional athletes coming in that maybe a mature age recruit coming from a VFL waffle sort of program, but equally the first and second year players that are 18 years of age. So obviously an option there, it sounds like, is more the fundamentals rather than going from a back squat going more to a goblet squat, which is reducing the load. But if the main group's doing 5 sets of 3, working up to a heavy 3, for example, is that what the young boys will do with the goblet squat, or do you sort of modify reps and sets as well?
Yeah, but just modify the reps and sets and just the intensity that they're doing that at. So even with the goblet squat, the intensity is going to be a bit lower than with the barbell anyway, but it would just be more of a slow burn, as I said before. Like, so you might be starting off with like, say at the start, like 40 reps, and they're sort of hitting around 75. You wouldn't even give them percentage at the start, you just kind of getting the first 4 or 5 weeks, just see how they're moving, how they handling the exercise you're giving them. They're not pulling up too domsy, and they're sort of progressing nicely. Then you would just sort of progress them then with onto maybe a different exercise, like so maybe a box squat. And you're just teaching them, or the barbell or a front squat, just working to a different, more advanced exercise, just working with slow tempo, like you're sitting around like 4 to 5 sets, and you're just sort of gradually pulling the volume down and just slightly increasing the intensity as it goes. So as the back end of the year comes, you're probably looking that they're sort of coming into line with sort of what the main group's doing, as close as possible as the main group's doing. Like, and again, just while a first year coming in is probably not playing AFL, and the VFL have been knocked out of the competition, and they got like that final series, maybe 4 weeks there. It's a really good little period there just to build them from what they've done all year. And you're thinking about next year and the off season, like where you want them to go. Like, it's a nice little window there where, say, like as AFL players playing, will be doing like maybe as low as maybe 8 reps with a higher intensity, like of like 85-90% there. Like the younger lads might add a bit more volume again then, and a bit more intensity. Like, so you might even just do a little bit of testing with them, like to see where the bench and chin up and squat or bench pull is, just like they've had a full year, not going to be playing any games. So it's a nice little window, set them up for the next season. Like, so you're kind of building towards that. So working your way back from like the top. And then again, like you build them up into March there, and then they start playing games. So that's an hour shock to the system. So you got to sort of be mindful of that as you're progressing the gym. The increase of game time and all that running volume as well. Like, you just got to be mindful of that. So you might you build up into March and you just pull it back a little bit and then build it up again as the season goes. And then if they do play AFL, it's an hour big shock to the system. Like, and then they might get dropped. So it's an hour shock to the system. And so it's kind of up and down as the year goes, but you're keeping the main thing. The main thing is you're getting them fundamental movements and really nailing them down, and then just giving them a good variety of different types of movement, so that going forward, you got more options to target. Like, nothing's going to be a shock to them.
Yeah. And what about? I imagine it'd be pretty rare at AFL level, but perhaps you'd still get it where there's those athletes, like you said, that haven't really lifted before and they've come into your program. What are some of your go-tos from an education point of view on the value of strength training to help on-field performance or either mitigate injuries?
Well, it'd just be the fundamentals. You're doing like your squat. Like make sure they can do a nice squat, a perfect squat. Well, not a perfect squat, but a good technical squat. They can do a single leg exercises pretty well. Like so, like you could do your rear foot elevated, your single leg RDLs, working through that hinges of double leg, single leg RDLs as mentioned. And then your upper body key lifts, like so, like your chin up to your bench. Just regression back from there. So again, just what the main group are doing, and you're just working back from the main exercises. So nothing groundbreaking there. It's just overall good movements, and there's the main lifts: your squat, your hinge, your push, and your pulls.
And what about profiling? Is there different modifications, whether it be injury history or strengths and weaknesses for the players, or is it more about getting them together as one group and getting them lifting as one and sort of feeding off that team environment?
Yeah, like obviously, you hopefully the young lads come in, they don't have any of these injuries coming in originally, like, but as they go through their career, there's like they're going to get some injuries along the way, and as you go in that mid back end stage of your career, like that's where the program starts to become more like individualized in terms of like their history of like what's happened before. So like a large part of their program can start be dictated towards that, like so like calf injuries, hammy injuries, whatever, like that will take up chunks of their program, which just then you just get your key lifts in there. So that's how that would work. Like so if you're a guy is coming to the back end of his career, he would not be doing the same program as a first year coming in, so like he'll have his own set of exercises he all has to do, like, to keep him on the pitch, then you're just really just picking the main exercises that he needs to do to perform on the day.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And what about when you're managing large groups, like in a VFL setting, and you might be the only coach, how do you sort of go about, or what advice do you give for coaches managing larger groups in terms of from the macro point of view, where they're keeping the session flow going and being able to see the whole gym set up with all the athletes in there, but then also sort of micro going in and being able to give an individual tip or some feedback, managing the two options, I guess, macro, micro.
Yeah, I suppose it's just that initial, when you get them in the gym or on the field, just having that little chat before and just explaining what's happening, what's the focus is today, and then each one might have something slightly different in the program, and then as you're going through the session, you would just like little touch points throughout the session. So yeah, it'd be like just trying to get over to each athlete at least once in the session, or maybe twice, like, and just having a quick chat to make sure the technique's right, make sure they're lifting the right weight, because always, a lot of athletes will just lift the same thing that the other guys lifted, so you just got to keep educating them on that, like, your program says you can go a bit more, or else you just see it and you just go, like, I think that's a bit light, they can go a little bit more on that, like, so yeah, just like overall give the main message for the session, and then individually just little touch points along the way every time you see something, or someone struggles or something, you just go over before or during it and give a bit of encouragement, a bit of feedback. Just getting a conversation with them, like how they're feeling, as well, like just building that relationship.
And since moving into the rehab S&C role, mate, what have been some of the key differences then compared to sort of your more long-term athlete development focus when you're in your academy or working with the younger players at the Giants?
Yeah, I suppose you just get a bit more one-to-one time with athletes. So you kind of sometimes, like, they'll be quite removed from the group at periods of the rehab. So it's a really good way to get to know them and find out little things that they struggle with or want to get better at. So you can always work on certain, like, it's a good time to work on things, like, so if they've been in the program for a while and they struggle with certain things or they're a bit weak in certain areas, like, that's a really good, like, thing to focus on while you're rehabbing the injury as well. So I suppose just you build that relationship a bit more one-to-one time and gives you a bit more time to work on certain things that maybe they wanna or maybe you see as something you could work on and help them later on down the line.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, thanks, mate. Thanks for sharing with us the different experiences you've had in the industry, whether it be from athlete development to a range of different sports, internship programs, and tips for coaches coming through, but also for athletes and the importance of the fundamentals, and of course, gradual progression, like you said, the slow cook rather than rushing into it. But for those that have some follow-up questions, mate, or want to connect, where's the best place to connect with you?
Probably not the best at communicating online, as you noticed. I do get back to you, but probably LinkedIn or else Instagram would be the best ones. Like I'll try and get on them once or twice, a couple times a week, you know.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, happy if
Yeah,
anyone wants.
perfect. Yeah, we can add the links in the show notes, mate. And pet peeves in the industry, anything that fires you up from an industry perspective or work life perspective?
Geez, I don't know. Don't know, I'm pretty easy going. I don't know, maybe just like pretty old school, like just good manners and like respect and consideration. Like, yeah, so that's probably the ones, like, you know, trying to treat everyone the same, like as you'd like to be treated. Like, that's probably, yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. And favorite way to spend a day off?
Um, Probably just getting some training in myself, you know. Just I live pretty close to the beach, so try and get down to the beach here if I can and have a coffee, a bit of training, just a bit of chill out time with my girlfriend. That'd be it. Like, and if I get time, call home, be great.
We're obviously recording this, mate, in early to mid October of 2024 of the podcast. What's on the horizon, Darrell, for the rest of the year, mate? What are you excited about?
Um, Probably just another year, just developing in the role, seeing where that goes, and then just externally, just probably just gonna try and like spend a bit more time with the girlfriend and um just yeah develop that space and yeah probably I don't know I'm really thought about it. Get through the end of the year, get Christmas in,
Yeah.
have a good Christmas break, and then 2025. So I'm expecting my first baby then, so that should be
Oh, fantastic.
that'll
Congratulations.
be yeah. So that's the big one I suppose on the horizon. Yeah. So yeah.
Yep. Yeah, amazing. That'd be awesome, mate. Yeah, well, congratulations to you and your partner, and yeah, thanks again on behalf of everyone that's tuned in for sharing with us your time and your experience in pro sport. For those that tuned in halfway through, or perhaps at the end there, you can find this on our YouTube channel, and then we'll post it on our podcast in the next few weeks. Our next live chat will be on the 18th of October at 2 p.m. Australian Standard Time with Ross Herridge, who's working in cricket in the high performance space. So I look forward to seeing you guys then, and reach out if you have any questions. Thanks again, Darrell.
Thank you.
There we go.